Merry meet and welcome to Lux Dragon Queen Magic. I am Taylor and here is our weekly check-in. So whether you are here to balance out your own internal energies, to just find out what's going to be happening within the week for you, or to check in with a twin flame connection, there definitely is going to be a message for you here today. With that said, let's go ahead and dive into our divine energies. So today we only have one of each. For our divine feminine, we do have Lala, the saint of spoken words. Every word I say becomes a prayer. I am the author of my own story. So she's so important coming out for this week because we really are seeing this sense of gaining back our power in this moment. So we've been talking a lot about release. We are going into these waning weeks. And so with that release, though, we're starting to receive a little bit more. We're starting to change our perspective a little bit more. And so with that, there is just this little bit kind of like a tower moment coming through where we are taking back our own personal power, and so it's changing our external world. So there is also a message of manifestation within this card. So if there is a way that you would like the world to be around you, if there is something that you would like to change within your environment, this is saying that you do have the power to change that, even if it needs to happen within the 5D. So connecting a little bit more with the divine energy that you have around manifestation is going to be so important over these last few weeks. And so losing the, you're essentially going to be releasing blockages around why you can't be the ultimate manifester, because you can. Anything that you want to put your mind to, you can quite simply manifest from thin air. Is like a very firm message coming through. Like it is, I don't know, Once Upon a Time, if you've ever seen that series, there is, all the fairy tales are written by the author, and that is like a role where if the author writes in a special book, like that is what comes true. And so that's the kind of energy that we're bringing into this, is like you have the power of the author, you have the ability to write within that book and create more than just what is available to you. You're able to create out of thin air. Also very interesting coming out with the divine feminine. So there is this need to create. So if you are wanting to connect more within this divine feminine energy internally, creating something is going to be very important for you over this week, especially if it's just like coloring or just like expressing yourself a little bit more. So that's more of the message here. So if you're trying to like help release those blockages, that's how you're going to see that improvement. Is it's interesting because there is a little bit of a gaining, a little bit of a creation, which normally you don't do during this time, but that's because the focus is, it's kind of like pulling a plug. So you're pulling that plug and then the water's going to wash out, but you're still doing something very active to make that release happen. It just so happens to be in a creation mode. So we're going to drop it there. I think you get the point. Let's go ahead and take a look into the divine masculine energy. And so we do have the integral philosopher coming out. I bring myself out. And always, you may want to pause to further embody and engage with this energy. So this is very interesting because we are seeing that these energies are matching themselves, which is so great for any kind of twin flame connection that we're checking into, because this means too that no matter how you identify, you are working to be the creator of your own story. You are working to bring about more of what brings you joy, more of what is very passionate within you, and it's kind of a special skill set for yourself. So you are starting to understand exactly what you bring to the table in order to do that. So it brings back that, what I was saying, that tower moment around bringing back your personal power to where you're bringing yourself out, but yet you're subtly changing your environment. So it's very interesting. So the divine feminine energy we are seeing is a little bit more external, while the divine masculine energy is a little bit more internal. So definitely take that for however it resonates. So you may see too, if you're checking with a partnership, that the feminine partner will be a lot more outspoken, trying to really express themselves, trying to be a lot more brave in regards to certain things. And then while the integral philosopher, the masculine side, is going to be a lot more receptive to that energy, and it's going to be, it's almost like being inspired to be brave. So it's like a quiet bravery. So they're going to not be so much like suggesting things to do, but they're going to like steadily be doing more things that bring them comfort, that is just more natural for them to do, and kind of just like testing the waters and seeing how they're received. So that's going to be how our twin flame partnerships are mainly working out. So with that being said, for these next few cards, it is how do I want to put these, trying to make sure they're still in screen, but these next few cards are all about threes. So, and they kind of just build onto each other. So you may resonate with the whole story here and how it builds, or you may resonate with just a certain column. So with that, let's just go ahead and dive in. So first, we are using our Love Tarot today, and so we do have the Wheel of Fortune coming out. So this is letting us know too, right now we are in a moment of change, but more importantly, this is a time to be very present. It is not a time to focus so much on like what's happening on the wheel and where you are at on it, but rather just recognize where you are currently in life. And instead of saying like, okay, well, I'm here now, so these are the next steps to get to the next place, instead just simply enjoy the moment that you're at, because this is a moment that was like cultivated just for you to experience, and it is all part of your life plan. It's a very big message coming forward. The other thing too is there is a message here not to focus on the past or the future of your relationship. So if you and your partner have been fighting lately, this may be a very big message for you, because there is a comment here around comparing the present to either the past or the future, and instead it's time to just be in the present, because chances are it is just time for a little bit more conversation, a little bit more time to take a focus off of the stress of time, and with that you will be able to find a little bit more comfort, a little bit more compromise, and a wiggle room. Okay, so we're going to do all 3 cards of the tarot, and then we'll do the next set, and then they'll build on to each other. Okay, so next we do have Justice coming out. So this is also letting us know that there is a truth that is coming out. So like we just said, I did bring up communication with this. So if you are resonating with this, then this is a natural way to go into the next step. Is there is a need for a conversation. There is something that needs to come out. There is a little bit of a message here around an ending happening. So there is this need to recognize that ending so that you can better welcome in a beginning. An ending does not necessarily mean that the relationship is parting. An ending can also mean that your relationship is evolving, but there is a need to recognize that. So a very simple thing about this is, or I'll give a couple examples. A very simple one is like when you actually decide to become married and going through the actual step of marriage. You do have to recognize that your life is changing from when you were no longer married into these new responsible partnership. And then same thing with like parenting. When you become a parent or continue having children, it changes the development each time. So it's not necessarily that one time is better or worse or anything of that nature. It's just simply different. And so it's a need to recognize that change so that you can better transition into the truth. And so that is probably too a little bit reason why we're seeing this disconnect between the Wheel of Fortune, because there is this need to not focus so much on time and where you're at, and simply recognize the moment for what it is. And it's wanting to be expressed, which is very interesting that we're getting that on both sides. So this is definitely going to be a week for divine partners to openly communicate with each other and feel safe and vulnerable, because there is that moment in time you simply are loving each other and you're simply trying to figure out the best way to move forward. And then next we do have the Emperor coming out, and so this very much is a following through with your actions. So you're backing up your words with your actions. So if these are really resonating with you all through it, this is kind of your action plan here, right? You need to recognize this is the problem. You need to speak about the problem, and then you need to make an action plan around it. And it's just very straightforward, which, I mean, that is simply the message of the Emperor here, and that is the energy that he brings here. The other thing to recognize here is this is a very direct message around the Divine Masculine, while the Divine Masculine is in a little bit more reserved situation. So there is going to be a little bit more stress among the Divine Masculine to follow through with what they are working through, and so you may see some struggle with that depending on if you are the feminine in this. So just recognizing that there may be a little bit of struggle as they are going through this moment in time. Okay, so next we have messages from the mermaids, which are great with love and communication and deal with water and healing. So underneath the Wheel of Fortune we have recognition. Okay, this is so straightforward, we're not going to go too much into it. Recognizing where you are at in this moment in time. Okay, now underneath Justice we do have friendship, and so this is a very important message coming forward, because this is telling me that this is a message of reminding yourself that you are not alone in this. So when you are expressing this truth, you are expressing this truth to a divine partner. You're expressing this truth to someone who understands and loves you. They just simply are also going through a moment of change, and that can upset, not like crying or anything, but like just the emotions that can make someone anxious. So just the simplest way in how upset means, it can make things a little bit more rocky. So it is time to recognize that as you are speaking this, you're speaking it to a friend. You are each other's best friends, hopefully, if you're within this relationship. Other thing too, if you are checking in with your own internal energies, this is time to recognize that you do have friends around you. So as you are recognizing this truth, it might be important for you to maybe say that truth to someone else, especially if it is around something where you're like, I really want to change this, and just simply finding a way to, again, create that space for you to be able to craft your own story. So just know that you are not alone with this card. And then underneath the Emperor, we do have miracles. So this is kind of a very hopeful card. This is letting you know, underneath the Emperor, that if this is the main energy that is really calling out, is this divine masculine is going to go through this. So it may seem impossible wherever you are at, especially if you're the femme checking into this, it may seem impossible that the masculine may be able to overcome this, to follow through on their words, and to actually change the situation that you have been wanting. So there is something here. I don't really encourage like wanting your partners to change, but there is something here around the fact that the divine feminine is maybe a little bit more ahead of the masculine, and that's why the masculine is needing to bring themselves out, and that's why the divine feminine is saying like we can't focus on the future so much because there's so much of the past that we're still needing to recognize and leave behind. And so just know this is a card letting you know, as you're working through this transition, this energy is going to be there. So something else around this too, as we recognize for our internal energies, is the divine feminine is needing to create in order to move through this, but there is so much encouragement between these cards. It's just saying like, as long as you can recognize where you are at, you are going to be able to bring out the truth, bring out that internal energy that really helps you recognize your own skill set, and just don't give up on yourself. So a lot of this is just like, don't give up on yourself. You are not alone within this. You are simply going through a phase of recognition, and sometimes that's the first step, right, is awareness. Okay, now we're going to take a look into our healing messages from the angels. And so underneath the Wheel of Fortune and Recognition, we have dreams. So this is so important because this is part of the reason why we are out of focus, is because we have certain dreams that we want to accomplish, certain things that have changed. So with this, the message is that our dreams have changed from what they were in the past to what they are now in the future, and to what they are currently. And so there is a need to just reconcile that energy, and to, especially if you're in a partnership, to connect that with each other, because that may be part of the reason why these energies are not lining up with each other, is because one of them is just moving a little bit differently, and it's happening a little bit more subconsciously, which is why it needs to be expressed. Okay. And then the next thing underneath justice and friendship, we have Archangel Michael. So I really enjoy this because this is, again, letting you know just how much you are not alone. So if you are here checking in with your own internal energies, it's letting you know that this is also a very direct friend. So if you really feel like you do not have anyone that you can talk to, and no matter how you resonate with this energy, just know that you are not alone. This is an angel deck, so of course an angel is going to come out, but know that however you connect with source, this could be your higher self. Just know that you are literally not alone. You are surrounded by so many spirit guides who want to support you. If you're surrounded by Mother Nature too, that is literally one of the best places to grab support from. So just recognizing that this energy, you're not in this alone as you're going through this truth. Things are being revealed to you as gently as possible is a very big message here, and you are being protected during this time is another message here. So I just really can't get over this. As you are moving through this energy, you are being protected through it. You are having a safe space created for you to really be able to work through this truth this week. And so now underneath the Emperor and Miracles, we do have harmony. So again, I love that, especially after miracles and what we're talking about, because this is the divine masculine side, being able to be a little bit more direct around what we want out of our life, out of what we want out of ourselves, is going to be coming through. But again, don't give up on yourself. You are going to find harmony within this. Again, you are being blessed with a sense that all of this is here. I'm also recognizing it's nighttime. It kind of has like very like dreamy energy, or lullaby. There we go, lullaby energy, which I guess there are harmony exists in songs, so it makes sense. But so music may be a very easy way to like help yourself calm down over this week. If you need any self-soothing habits, as well as any ways to get into a meditative space, if your mind is just reeling and you really can't get away from it, you can listen to music. Sometimes too, if you have like a list that you like to just like put on shuffle, or I think Spotify and Pandora are pretty good around like pulling like random songs for you too. So that is a way to also kind of divine messages and recognize like maybe what songs are coming up all the time for you, and recognize that maybe that is what your energy is calling to you, and see what, just sit with that in a moment, meditate with it, figure out what that means to you, what truth is trying to be revealed to you from the universe. So just a little special message there, especially if, again, going back into the twin flame partnership, if the divine masculine is struggling, this is another suggestion, is like maybe encourage your partner to listen to a little bit more music that brings them comfort, and they may recognize some things. Okay. And then next we do have the Amenti Oracle. So this is the oracle that gives us affirmations to help us have a feather light heart. So I just really love the flow of this. So this is going to really support each of these moments. And so wherever you recognize yourself in, hopefully you can join into this energy and be able to hold on to this affirmation as you transition through this week. So with that, underneath the Wheel of Fortune, recognition and dreams, we have I care for the earth. So this is also a very feminine card in itself too, which I guess I haven't really said this, but a lot of this energy, while it does have the jewel of the past or present, but the divine feminine is going to find themselves mostly here where they need to recognize this transition, this need to reconcile their dreams against each other. And so with that, this is I care for the earth is to also letting you know that your motivations are valid, and with this, a way for you to connect more with this energy, with the dreams that you have moving forward. So this kind of is just like a call out of confirming what you're wishing to accomplish and put out into the world, if anything. There is also something here around being able to create more out of just natural resources, because that is something that you're working on, right? You are the saint of spoken words. You are working on creation so that you can remove any blockages. And a lot of times we can look at the earth too, its natural cycles, and how, like, for instance, this is a time where a lot of the harvest would have already been like cleaned up. Maybe there's some winter gardening that has happened. And so just playing around with the idea of how the earth is during this moment in time is going to help you recognize where you are in time, is the main energy coming forward from this. And so next, underneath justice, friendship, and Archangel Michael, we do have I advance through my own abilities. So this is so interesting, because this was a lot about like you are not alone, but it started with like a truth needs to be expressed, and it was kind of asking for a little bit of bravery in order to do that, and letting you know that you're not alone to do that, that you're in a safe space with a friend, as well as being protected by source, however you identify with that. But now we have this, I advance through my own abilities. This is letting you know that even though you have this external backup, this spiritual team just encouraging you, you are still the one moving forward through this truth, through this being expressed. You are still the one being brave. You are still the one taking the action in this moment to truly recognize what is the hidden truth right now, or what you're being in denial of. And so this is kind of letting you know, and I feel like this third eye is being focused, so it's really like relying on that intuition and saying, I recognize, again, so you're moving from the one, and now you're like, I recognize this, and I am now able to set up a plan, and then you're able to move into this divine masculine energy where you follow through with said plan. So with that, we have the Emperor with miracles, harmony, and then we have I am open to love in various forms. So this is so important. One, for connection, or for partners, this is just literally your divine masculine through this time is going to be opening themselves up to more love, however that means. So something coming through is that this is more in regards to spiritual love than just romantic love. This is in regards to more of like friendship love and family love. It is more about recognizing that loving comes in so many extra forms. Something too is with balancing out the internal energies, this is something that you're recognizing as well over this week. So no matter how you identify with this, again, miracles are happening. You're opening up, you are softening. That divine masculine, that direct heart inside is opening up, recognizing their worth so much to the point where they are releasing any anxiety and being able to open up to various forms of love. So absolutely wonderful. So however you resonate with these messages, whether it is all together or just simply one of these columns, there is definitely something here for you, and I encourage you to follow your intuition and take what resonates and leave what does not. Last but certainly not least, we have our acts of kindness, and so this is always a suggestion, not a command. These can be something whether for yourself, for your community, or just for a stranger. It is just some small, simple ways that may encourage you this week to be kind. And so for this week, we only have one. And it is simply ask someone how their day is and really listen, which we were talking so much about how expression is so important right now. And so something too that's coming through is you can ask yourself how your day is and really answer and really listen to what you're saying. That's one way to get the truth out around how everything is and how everyone's feeling. So with that, I definitely want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank you for liking and subscribing. I encourage you to comment below. Let me know how your week is going and how these messages are resonating for you. And with that, I will definitely see you next time. Blessed be.